Financially, you've done it right all your life. You've paid your bills, you've paid your taxes, you've saved and invested for the future, and you've done well. But market dips have done some damage, and lately, you have your doubts about our government's policies. How will you maintain your lifestyle, your health, and your personal freedoms that you cherish? Welcome to Wealth Guardians with Doug Ray, where it's all about the health, wealth, and freedom you need to live life your way all the way. Stand by for strategies you can use to turn your retirement dreams into reality. Now here's the host of Wealth Guardians, Doug Ray.
Good morning. I am Doug Ray. This morning I want to talk about a couple who retired in 1985 and compare it to someone who's retiring today. The difference is night and day. It's almost frightening. That couple that retired in 1985, their Social Security benefit made up 65% of their income in retirement. But it's a different story today. Now, your Social Security benefits will only account for 27% of your income in retirement. So there is no way you can just rely on Social Security alone. Now, back in the early 80s, nearly half of all private companies provided a company pension. But anyone who has a pension today, it's a rarity unless you're a government employee. Today, less than 1 in 5 companies offer a pension plan. Most people retiring these days will get nothing more than a hearty handshake on their way out the door. So you can't rely on your company to help you with those retirement income needs. That couple who retired in 1985, the husband was expected to live another 14 years, the wife another 19 years. But if you're retiring today, a man can expect to celebrate his 91st birthday and his wife 94. So today you have to plan to make your money last a whole lot longer. And there's just 3 examples of how drastically things have changed over the last few decades. There's a whole lot more. So here's the bottom line. For anyone retiring today, it's a whole new ballgame. And so is the way you plan for your retirement. On today's show, I'm going to reveal how planning for retirement has changed over the past 30 years. Plus, the strategies that we use with some of our own clients that could stand up to the challenges that you're facing in retirement today. But first, as I always do, I want to go out and thank all of our veterans and our active duty service members, men and women alike. We really appreciate the sacrifices that you make for us, and we wish you Godspeed. And also, at the top of the hour here, I want to remind everybody, this is so important. It's April already. Can you believe this? It's so important. If you are 66 or older and either you or your spouse have yet to file for Social Security benefits, you have until April the 29th to take advantage of a file and suspend and a restricted application. You have less than a month. So if you fit that category, you need to call me to find out if it's the right thing to do. We could literally get you an extra $50,000 to $200,000+ in lifetime Social Security benefits if you're in this situation. So call us at 336-391-3409. Well, let me get into a quick market update because it's, to say this market's been just incredible is an understatement. We did get a market sell signal off the VIX index last week, and then it's recovered nicely the last week or so, but we're still have that market sell signal, and Tim Wood's cycle analysis is still on a sell signal. So what does all this mean? Well, let's go back a bit. Let's look at January. January was the worst January in recorded U.S. stock market history. And then all of a sudden, about mid-February, things turned around. Now, if you noticed, if you've been to the gas pump lately, your gas prices have gone up. Well, guess what happened about mid-February? They started jawboning oil prices up. It was comical to watch because every other day there was this rumor about how OPEC was going to get together and there was plans to cut back on production and this, that, and the other. Well, why do you think all this happened? I'll tell you why. The banks are loaded up to their eyeballs with loans to the frackers, to the shale producers, to the oil riggers, and they're scared to death at low oil prices those loans are going to turn bad. So oil prices needed to come back up. Now, we also had records amount of short interest in oil by hedge funds. So just with a little bit of jawboning, that got the hedge funds to cover their shorts. To cover their shorts, they got to buy it back. So the buying back created this incredible rally in oil, and subsequently, that spilled over into the U.S. stock market. Has things changed with oil? Absolutely not. We're still awash in oil. I think we've started to see the rollover in oil prices to come back down, and I think probably you're going to see this stock market, follow suit with that. So the point I'm trying to make is we're in a seasonally dicey period of time. Once we get past mid-March through the summer months, it's usually very low volume. Typically, the market struggles in this area, so I wouldn't expect this time to be any different. Although it is a presidential election year, and generally speaking, the markets do pretty well in presidential election years. The average is up 7.5%. But this is a presidential election year like no other, and I don't know what else to say about that. All right, if you just joined us, you're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show. My name's Doug Ray, and this is 94.5 WPTI, Piedmont's news, talk, and sports station. You know, I've got to tell you a little story. This is an incredible case study, and it came directly from those Social Security workshops we did a couple weeks ago, which were highly successful. A lot of you came to these workshops. But I had a young lady to come to the workshop, and she was the daughter of a very nice couple I just met. And she was listening to Hamilton and I talk about the changes in Social Security, and it struck a chord with her. She realized that perhaps her folks were missing out on a benefit. Well, she got her folks to come to my office, and her parents live in Charlotte, by the way, so they drove all the way up here to my Clemens office. They could have easily met me in the Charlotte office, but they wanted to tie it in with a visit to the daughter, so it all worked out. Long story short, here's what happened. As we sat down and started talking with them, this couple's a little bit different than most. It turns out that she, the wife, has been the primary breadwinner. She's a registered nurse, so her Social Security benefit was more than her husband's. Now, she's still working, and she's 67, I believe it was, plans on working till 70, and has not turned her Social Security on. He, on the other hand, had turned his on several years ago. And the fact is, what they missed out was a spousal benefit that he was eligible for. His spousal benefit was actually larger, considerably larger, than his own work record benefit. You see, he had been self-employed for a lot of years and had not been able to contribute as much into the Social Security system as he might otherwise would have if he worked for a company or something. Bottom line is, what we found out is they have left on the table over $20,000 in Social Security benefits that he could have gotten. Now, you can never get it back. I mean, you can't go and get it back, but at least knowing this information, the next day they went and applied for his spousal benefit, and they had up until April the 29th to do this. That increased his Social Security benefit by $500 a month. Now, how would you like to have an extra $500 a month coming into your household? I guess the moral of this story is you just don't know what you don't know. So if you don't know, try to find out. Give us a call at 336-391-3409. Well, you know, I opened up the show talking about how dramatically, radically retirement is different than just 30 years ago, and how we have to plan for that kind of thing. You know, I see people all the time, literally, hundreds of couples every year. We do their retirement income planning for them. And I'll tell you, it is different. We're living longer. And if you don't have that written plan, you're making a mistake, a serious mistake, because you need to know exactly where your income is coming from. Social Security is just not going to be enough. And unfortunately, this is a sad statistic. The vast majority of folks in this country, 65 and over, have less than $5,000 set aside for retirement. That's an unbelievable statistic. And, if you're 65 and you only got $5,000, obviously you're going to be living on Social Security and not much else. So I guess the point I'm trying to make here is, as we get older and we live longer, that's a blessing. But the fact of the matter is, if we don't have the ability to draw on our 401ks and IRAs, we're going to be in some serious trouble. In life, we have to make choices, and some of those choices, they're not easy. Why are you listening to this show today? There's obviously a reason. You probably have more questions than you have answers about retirement. You saved, and hey, that's great. But now what? When it comes to Social Security, generating income taxes, or when you withdraw money from your retirement accounts to avoid those thousands of dollars in penalties and fees, that's where you're lost. And you know what? These are things that'll make your money go further in retirement. So let's start that conversation. We make it simple. We gather a few details, and then we show you how we can help you. In 9 out of 10 cases, we can make a significant difference, like that couple that came to see me about their Social Security. It doesn't cost a dime, so what you got to lose? If you've saved at least $100,000 for retirement, call to schedule your initial analysis right now at 336-391-3409. We've helped hundreds of people retire successfully right here in the Triad, and we can help you too. Call us at 336-391-3409. You're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show on 94.5 WPTI, the Piedmont's news, talk, and sports station. Welcome back. I'm Doug Ray, and this is the Wealth Guardian Show. If you retired back in 1985, 65% of your income would come from Social Security benefits. That's not too bad, right? Well, today, your Social Security benefits are only going to account for about 27% of your income in retirement. For anyone retiring today, it's a whole new ballgame than it was 30 years ago. And so is the way you're going to have to plan for retirement. So, a long time ago, retirement meant collecting Social Security checks and puttering around the house and traveling a bit, playing some golf, volunteering, and generally not having to punch a clock. You'd let that gold watch glint in the Florida sunshine, and now retirement's just this nebulous concept that's got no universal definition. Especially when you cross-examine 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60-somethings. According to the Trans-American Center for Retirement Studies, those attitudes range from cautious to committed to even frazzled. In many senses, it's a work-until-you-drop world, at least with many retirees taking on their entire careers after they've officially left the workforce. I remember the other day I was going into the grocery store, and I saw several, I would say they're probably in their 70s, stocking shelves. I felt kind of sad for them because my guess is they weren't there because they didn't have anything else to do. So retirement isn't just this monolithic concept. In other words, it's a moving target. That's as much about financial security as it is about a personal identity. And yeah, managing depression in retirement is often as an issue as strategizing your financial planning. So what's the point here? The point is this. When we sit down with a couple and do their retirement planning, we have to look at a lot of options, a lot of variables. We have to plan for the fact that you might make it into your 90s. I try to get all my retirement income plans to work out to where bottom line is we maintain the standard of living, and that has to account for inflation. It has to account for taxes. getting them through age 100 without running out of money. And it's not an easy task to do. Fact of the matter is, folks, once I complete a retirement plan, it's almost obsolete from the moment the ink dries on the plan. Why is that, you say? Well, it's simply because, these things, when they come off today, they all project a linear program, and they're all like that. The software that I use is I can consider it cutting edge technology, but the fact is your life changes, and it changes a lot, and we have to make provisions for that. That's why you need to be meeting with your advisor at minimum once a year, if not more often than that, because as things change, again, that affects that retirement plan, and you have to account for all those changes. The Bureau of Labor Statistics predicts that more than a fifth of boomers who are 65 and older are going to be holding some kind of a job until 2024. Now, that's where their parents the same age in 1994, only a tenth were still employed. The number of older women staying employed will double to 18.4% from 9.2%, while the men's participation rate will increase to 25.7% from 16.9%. More boomers are going to be employed well into their 70s. The percentage of workers aged 75 and older is expected to almost double in 2024 to 10.6%. And compare that rate to 1994's rate of 5.4%. How would you like to be working when you're 75 years of age? It depends. I guess if you love what you do, it's really not work. Well, I tell everybody, if that's the case, do it until you just don't want to do it. You'll know. You'll know when you don't want to work. But most people don't want to be working when they're 75, especially if you have a tough job. You're working in a factory, building stuff, having to move heavy objects around. Pretty difficult. Now, I've got another case study, if you will, that I want to share with you. I was working with some clients this past week, and these folks came to me. I sort of inherited them, and we were looking at some annuities that another advisor had put them in, and they weren't bad. They were good annuities. In fact, they'd done a really, really good job. But this is why you need to sit down with your advisor at least on an annual basis and do a review of everything you have. I discovered that these annuities had some pretty high fees in them. They're over 3% a year. Also discovered that this company that they were with allowed for an internal transfer. Now, what's an internal transfer? That just means they'll move, the monies out of one annuity into another annuity. And that might be a good thing if, as in this case, the newer annuity was a new and improved version. You see, they had gotten these annuities back in 2009, and they did exactly what they were supposed to do. They went up when the market went up. They were indexed annuities, and they didn't lose any money when the market went down. So looking at the situation, this company, I use this company a lot for my clients too, had a much improved program than the older annuity. So what we found out is we could basically move their entire portfolio from the old, I'm not going to call it an obsolete annuity because it's not obsolete, but it wasn't as efficient. I think that's the best word to use. It wasn't as efficient as the newer one. The newer one had a much better indexing strategy. And they wouldn't lose any value, and we could get them another 10% bonus day one. So these folks moved their monies over, and they picked up about $90,000 extra in bonus money. That was a pretty good deal. Again, this doesn't happen all the time. In fact, I will tell you right up front, it's a rarity that can be done. But the point I want to make is any advisor ought to be looking for opportunities to improve your financial situation. And, I guess the moral of that story is make sure you have a good communication line open with your advisor. And if you just joined us, this is the Wealth Guardian Show. My name is Doug Ray, and I'd like to invite you to go on to Facebook and look at our Facebook page there. And if you like it, give us a like. And also, we got a new and improved website out there. It's thewealthguardians.com. I would invite you to go on that, take a look at the website. We got some great articles on there, a lot of it talking about retirement income planning, Social Security. We have a podcast of all of our radio shows, so if you missed one with, say, Hamilton Morales, the Social Security expert I had on there, that's on the website in the podcast. You can do that. Professor Kotlikoff, that show's on there. They're all there. So take a look at thewealthguardians.com. You know, we make choices in life, don't we? And with choices come consequences. Take the stairs, ride the elevator, eat an apple, or eat a candy bar, drink a Coke or a glass of water, go to the doctor, or ignore those symptoms. Planning for your retirement is no different. You have a choice. You can create a plan, or you can just hope for the best. Either way, there's going to be consequences. But having no plan is almost destined to have a very, very bad ending. If you save for retirement, good for you. But now what? What about Social Security? What about reducing your taxes? Guarding against inflation? Generating an income? How will you withdraw money from your retirement accounts? Will you do it tax efficiently, or will you waste a lot of money in unnecessary taxes? If you need to make your money go further in retirement, if you need to stretch every dollar, you need a plan. Get started right now with our 5-point retirement master plan. This is going to give you confidence, and it's going to give you clarity with your money and your retirement. If you've saved at least $100,000 for retirement, call us right now to schedule your analysis. It's free and there's no obligation. Call us at 336-391-3409. 336-391-3409. We have helped hundreds of people retire successfully here in the Triad, and we can help you too. 336-391-3409. Now, you know, 30 years ago, there's another thing in retirement that's changed almost completely and almost overnight in the last few years, and that's your health care. Yeah, we got Medicare. It's certainly there, but now we have Obamacare. And what we know about Obamacare is it's forced the cost of health care and insurance in this country higher. It wasn't supposed to do that, but it did. And how are you going to be able to plan for that? You know, what Medicare supplements are right for you? You know, there's a bunch to choose from. You know, do you need a supplement at all? Do you have supplemental health insurance that you took with you from your company in retirement? Some of you do, some of you don't. All of that needs to be accounted for in your retirement income planning. You know, I mentioned a moment ago, are you going to take your income tax efficiently, or are you going to waste a lot of money in unnecessary taxes? There are right ways and wrong ways to set up a retirement income plan, and I'd like to show you the right ways. You know, it's really not an easy thing to retire for most people. It's mentally, you go through an emotional mental challenge when you retire. I mean, think about it. You've been doing something for 30 or 40 years that is just, I mean, you just get up and do it. Now it's going to change. Your whole social network is going to change, and people, human beings, just are not very good at change. So you go through this emotional, mental challenge at retirement. And I tell everybody, you're going to know when it's time. You're going to know when you're ready for retirement. And for some of you, it's going to be an absolute blessing. One of the greatest things, and I've told you this before on the show, one of the greatest things, one of the neatest things about my work, my job, is when I sit down with a couple and say, yeah, you can retire. And then I see that big old grin spread across their face, and you can see the weight of the world come off of their shoulders. That is a neat, neat feeling. Well, folks, I've enjoyed being with you today. I'll be here next week, and this is the Wealth Guardians radio program on 94.5 WPTI, the Piedmont's News Talk and Sports Station.